Did you know that the rate at which we age depends on genetics in only about 20% of cases? The remaining 80% depends on how our body regulates itself, how our cells interact, repair damage, and respond to stress. Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. My name is Ksenia and today we're going to talk about something that affects each of us, aging. More importantly, we will talk about how to live a long, healthy, and active life. What exactly happens in our bodies as we grow older? Can we slow these processes down? And what role does something called bioregulation play in all of this? Let's figure it out together. From a biological point of view, the human body is not just a collection of organs. It's more like a giant city. Billions of its inhabitants are your cells. Thousands of roads are your blood vessels, and its electrical network is more complex than anything ever created by humans. So something is happening in this city every second. Cells repair damage, tissues are constantly being rebuilt, information is constantly transmitted and received. When this system works perfectly, we call it health. But when communication between its systems begins to break down, the city slowly starts to decline. So today we'll talk about bioregulation and how understanding this process can help us live longer and healthier lives. Under ideal conditions, this city functions almost automatically. It has its own security system, your immune system. It has an administration, your brain, and hormonal system, and repair teams that constantly restore damage and maintain proper function. The ability of this city to regulate itself, repair damage, and restore balance without external assistance is called bioregulation. Bioregulation is essentially the control system of life itself. It exists in every living organism, from bacteria to humans. So why do we age? If our body is so intelligent, then why do we grow old? Well, the answer lies in the fact that bioregulation takes place in an ever-changing environment. Modern life introduces a great deal of noise into these systems. Environmental pollution, chronic stress, poor nutrition, lack of sleep. These factors can interfere within the body internal signals, just as repair crews in a city might receive distorted instructions and arrive in the wrong location or even stop working altogether. Such dysregulation can eventually lead to various health problems. The problem is that evolution has not prepared us for modern life. Our bodies are the result of millions of years of evolution, but evolution moves extremely slow. Biologically, we're still adapted to a hunter-gathering world where survival depended on a constant physical activity and struggling for resources. In those times, only a small number of people lived to an old age, and 40 years was often considered old. So, in other words, this was roughly the period for which nature originally designed our biological warranty. Today, thanks to science and medicine, we live almost twice as long, and yet we're still using only 60 to 70% of our body's potential. We're missing the remaining 30-40 needed to approach the 120-year lifespan that is encoded in our biology. At the same time, in our digital age, when much of the day is spent sitting in the office chair with a smartphone in hand and a serious mismatch that has emerged, our biological programming developed over millions of years for movement and survival, while our modern lifestyle appeared almost instantly. The body simply did not have time to adapt to a world where muscles remain inactive and nervous system is constantly overloaded. To illustrate this, let me give you a few examples. When you decide to go on a strict diet or fasting regimen, your body does not celebrate. Instead, it becomes concerned. Your evolutionary instincts start whispering, food is becoming scarce, winter may be coming. As a result, instead of burning fat efficiently, your metabolism slows down and your body tries to conserve energy. We live in times of abundance, but your body still behaves as if it's starvation might be just around the corner. So thousands of years ago, stress also existed. You saw a tiger, your body released a surge of adrenaline, you ran. Within minutes, the situation was over. The body then returned to balance. Today, the tiger has disappeared in many ways, but the stress remains. Now it takes the form of deadlines, financial pressure, demanding bosses. Our bodies still react in exactly the same way they did thousands of years ago. They release the same hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, preparing us for flight or fight. But there is one more important difference. In the past, stress almost always had a physical outlet: movement, action, escape, or struggle for survival. So today, more often than not, the stress remains inside the body. We're not running, we're sitting in front of a computer. The stress response does not reach natural conclusions, it becomes stuck in the body and gradually begins to affect internal systems. So, of course, this does not mean that people in ancient times did not suffer from the effects of the stress. Most likely, many simply did not live long enough for those effects to become noticeable. Today, the situation is different. We live longer, and more often we face a new challenge: learning how to manage stress. Because when stress accumulates and does not find a healthy outlet, over time it can contribute to high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorder, and many other problems in our body. In nature, most organisms do not live long lives due to injury, infection, and harsh environment conditions. And evolution has not developed strong defense systems against diseases that typically appear after the age of 60 or 70. So today we have the opportunity to live much longer than our ancestors. This is why people increasingly need additional support to maintain healthy biological regulation throughout life. So what exactly is bioregulatory therapy, and how does it differ from traditional medicine? Traditional medicine often works like a fire department. It reacts quickly when a problem arises and helps deal with the acute condition. If your knee hurts, you take a painkiller. If your blood pressure rises, a doctor prescribes a medication to lower it and probably something to help you to deal with it and protect your blood vessels. So these treatments are extremely important. They save lives and help control many diseases. However, in most cases, they're aimed at relieving symptoms and managing the consequences of existing disorder. This leads to an important question. Is it possible to support the body in a way that helps its own regulatory system work more efficiently and avoid those problems in the first place? Well, bioregulatory medicine offers a different perspective. It does not oppose those traditional medicine approaches, and it does not replace it. On the contrary, its goal is to complement existing treatments by helping strengthening therapeutic outcomes and support the body's natural self-regulation mechanisms. It's not about suppressing symptoms. It is about gently maintaining internal balance. We're not replacing the body's function, we're helping it restore its ability to regulate itself. So, how does bioregulation actually work? In biology, communication within the body occurs through two main systems. You can think of them as internet and the postal services. The first is a nervous regulation. The nervous system works like a high-speed internet connection. Signals travel in the form of electric impulses along nerve fibers at incredible speed. Imagine touching a hot stove. Before you even realize it, what happened, your hand pulled away. That is your nervous system in action, the fastest communication network in the body. This system is extremely precise and highly targeted. The second system is hormonal regulation, which is essentially the body's chemical messaging system. Signals are transmitted through the blood and lymph. Hormones and other biological active molecules travel through the bloodstream. This process is slower than electrical signaling, but it influences the entire body. It works more like a broadcast message that says, prepare for physical activity, store energy, activate the immune response. In simple terms, the nervous system is like a sprinter. It reacts quickly. The humoral system is more like a marathon runner. It regulates long-term processes such as growth, metabolism, mood, all of our body. When these systems work in harmony, the body maintains health and balance. But when communication between them is disrupted, the body begins to lose that balance, and this is when additional support may become necessary. Before discussing advanced treatments, it is important to start with the basics. A natural way to support the body's regulatory systems include the following: sleep. Everyone talks about the importance of sleep, and science confirms that's super important. So studies show that people who suffer from sleep deprivation consume on average about 385 calories per day more than those who get enough sleep. Lack of sleep can disrupt circadian rhythms and hormonal balance. Movement is the second key factor in maintaining good health. The World Health Organization recommends that adults engage in 150 to 300 minutes of moderate physical activity per week. This can include walking, jogging, cycling, swimming, or any the other type of exercise that helps to raise the heart rate. Another important aspect of well-being is proper nutrition. The health of your body largely depends on the foods you consume. The World Health Organization has identified several dietary factors that may accelerate aging. This does not mean that these foods must completely be eliminated from your diet. However, moderation is essential. In the following videos, we will look at each of those factors in more detail, and I will share scientifically proved methods of improving sleep, and I will provide practical recommendation on physical activity for weight management, and discuss which dietary approach truly support active longevity. If you imagine an ideal model of a healthy lifestyle, it will look quite simple: adequate sleep, regular physical activity, balanced diet, and minimal chronic stress. However, the reality is often different. The modern pace of life, heavy workload, stress, environmental factors make achieving this ideal difficult for a lot of people. When a person leads a maximally healthy lifestyle, the biological aging of cells still continues, and that's where the fundamental biology of longevity comes to the fore. In 1961, scientist Leonard Hayflick made a remarkable discovery. He found that human cells can divide only a limited number of times, about 50 divisions. This phenomena is known as the Hayflick limit. At the end of each chromosome, there are structures called telomeres. They act as protective caps for the chromosomes. Each time a cell divides, the telomeres become slightly shorter. Eventually, they become critically short, and the cell either stops dividing or activates a self-destruction program known as apoptosis. As we age, more and more of our cells reach the Hayflick limit. The accumulation of these senescent cells is associated with the development of many age-related diseases. In the 1970s, a group of Soviet scientists led by Russian researcher, doctor of medical science, and professor Vladimir Khavinson made another important discovery. He identified small molecules capable of interacting directly with genetic regulatory mechanisms inside cells. Those molecules, known as tissue-specific peptides, are active compounds of amino acids that can easily enter cells and reach the nucleus where DNA is stored. The nucleus contains an enormous library of genetic instructions, but some of these instructions may become blocked by regulatory processes such as DNA methylation. Methylation is essentially a way of switching off certain genes without altering the DNA sequence itself. Tissue-specific peptides, often referred to today as Khavinson peptides, act as biological mediators that help unlock the blocks and the blocked instructions, much like a key opening a genetic lock. When the lock is open, the cell can once again produce the proteins necessary for repair and normal functioning. This discovery suggests that peptide bioregulators may help activate the body's internal regenerative resources, supporting the body's natural ability to repair itself. Today, humanity has developed several types of peptide bioregulators. There are neuropeptides, which support the function of the nervous system, immune peptides, which help regulate the immune response, tissue-specific peptides, which affect particular organs such as heart, liver, retina. The purpose of these peptides is not to replace the body's natural regulatory processes, but to support them. So what is bioregulation? It is not magic or alternative medicine. It's a field of molecular biology that seeks to understand how the body maintains balance and how we can support these natural systems. Our goal is not simply to avoid disease. We want to remain energetic at the age of 50, 70, 90 and have a sharp mind at 100 years old and live an active lifestyle. So achieving these goals requires supporting the systems that regulate your body from within. Prevention is always easier than treatment, and bioregulation can be seen as an investment in our future. Take care of your body and listen to its signals. Support its natural intelligence by making informed choices. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We'll be happy to answer them in our next videos, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel and stay healthy. See you next time.